Ever heard a story that just pulls you in? Like you need to know more.
Absolutely.
Well, today we're diving into one of those. It's like the classic underdog story.
Right.
The kid starts with like 40 bucks, builds a fashion empire,
Yeah, it's incredible.
becomes a Shark Tank star.
It's amazing.
Daymond John. We're going to explore his whole journey today.
Yeah, a real inspiration.
I've got a ton of info on Daymond, like um, from his tough beginnings,
Oh, yeah.
to FUBU, blown up to his insights as an investor.
Definitely.
It's like a masterclass in entrepreneurship,
Absolutely.
and we're breaking it all down.
Yeah, peeling back the layers.
So basically, our goal today is to like pull out the key knowledge, right?
Yes.
The strategies and the big lessons that we can all learn from Daymond John's rise.
Yeah, he's got so much to teach us.
Okay, so let's start like way back at the beginning.
Sure, let's set the scene. Daymond John, born in Brooklyn, February 23rd, 1969, but he spent his childhood in Queens.
Okay, Queens, got it.
And, it's interesting. His parents were from the Caribbean.
Hmm.
And that probably, it might have influenced his views early on, his values.
Right, right. So those early years, though, sounds like they weren't easy. I mean, the sources mention his parents divorced when he was only 10,
Right, yeah, very young.
and his dad left,
Mhm.
which, I mean, that kind of instability
Oh, yeah, definitely had an impact.
has been tough.
Huge impact. And, financially, it was tough on the family.
Makes sense.
Damon had to start working young, like really young. We're talking 10 years old.
Wow, 10 years old.
Shoveling snow, selling pencils, even like apprenticing as an electrician in the Bronx.
That's incredible. So, I mean, that early exposure to work
Oh, definitely formative.
must have, like, shaped him, right?
Without a doubt. His parents really instilled that strong work ethic.
I bet, yeah.
And you see that throughout his life, that dedication.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a recurring theme for sure. Like, perseverance, that's huge.
Huge. And then, growing up in the 80s, that vibrant culture, hip hop, that really grabbed him. But like a lot of people back then, he just couldn't afford the clothes, the stylish stuff.
And this is interesting for you, the listener, because that frustration, right, of wanting something you can't afford, it wasn't just a teenage thing. Like it became the foundation of his whole empire.
Absolutely. You hit the nail on the head. That frustration fueled his ambition.
Wow.
But before we jump into that, let's touch on his education, right? He had some trouble in school, was later diagnosed with dyslexia,
Oh, wow.
and he decided, you know what? College isn't for me. I'm going straight into business.
Bold move.
It was.
Yeah.
And his mom, she really encouraged him to go for it, to do something meaningful.
That's great. So basically, you had those early like financial hurdles and his love for hip hop. Right.
Right.
That's how it all began. So tell me about FUB. How did it start?
Okay, so the story goes, he learned to sew from his mom.
Oh, wow. That's cool.
And, he was unhappy with the prices of the popular clothes.
Yeah, yeah.
And so he thought, I can make these clothes more affordable, for guys like me. And so he started, small, investing in like cheap wool fabrics and making caps.
Yeah,
caps.
that's okay.
And he sold those first 80 caps for $800.
Wow, that's a pretty good return on investment.
Oh yeah, definitely. It showed there was a demand for what he was making, and his mom, she saw that entrepreneurial spirit in him,
Yeah.
and she really believed in him. I mean, it was a huge moment. She mortgaged her house in 1992, gave him $100,000.
Man, that's incredible.
It was the capital he needed to really get the business off the ground.
Wow. So that's how FUBU started, right?
That's it. FUBU. For us, by us.
I love that.
It really speaks to the community he wanted to reach.
It does, yeah, for sure. But it wasn't like an instant success.
Yeah. No, definitely not. I mean, in those early years, Daymond was still working as a waiter, trying to make ends meet while building his business.
Yeah, makes sense.
And getting FUBU out there, getting people to know about it, that was a major challenge.
So how did he do that? I mean, he didn't have a ton of money,
Yeah.
right? So what was his like marketing strategy?
Okay, this is where he gets really resourceful. He starts lending clothes to these up-and-coming hip-hop artists to wear in their music videos.
Oh, that is smart.
So, he's getting his brand in front of exactly the right people. Like Will Smith, for example, he wore FUBU in over 30 videos.
Oh, wow. That's incredible. I mean, that's like free advertising.
It was genius. Right.
Yeah.
Organic exposure.
Very creative.
And it paid off. By 93, FUBU was getting orders for like $300,000.
That's a huge jump.
Oh, yeah. It shows, his marketing was working, the brand was gaining traction, and then he used ads strategically to raise even more capital. And at this point, the company had already hit over $6 million in sales, which, I mean,
It's amazing.
that's incredible growth.
Yeah.
But there was this one moment, this key moment.
What was that?
That really pushed FUBU into the mainstream.
What happened?
LL Cool J.
Oh, yeah.
He wore a FUBU hat in a Gap ad.
Whoa.
And that was huge. It was a national campaign. Everyone saw it.
That's incredible.
That endorsement from someone like LL Cool J, it gave FUBU instant credibility.
Right.
People saw it and thought, okay, this is a brand to watch.
Like, it's legit.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it wasn't just LL Cool J. Other big names, P. Diddy, Will Smith, they all wore FUBU.
That must have been a huge boost.
It was, definitely. Celebrity endorsements, it's like social proof. People want what the stars are wearing.
It creates that like aspirational feeling.
Exactly. And, FUBU ended up hitting $350 million in sales per year.
No way.
And over $6 billion in global sales overall.
That is insane.
It's a perfect example of how, having a clear vision, being resourceful, and maybe a little bit of luck can lead to, massive success.
That's amazing. I mean, from making hats and selling them on the street to a multi-billion-dollar company.
It's the American dream.
That's incredible. Okay, so now let's fast forward a bit, right? Daymond John goes from like this fashion mogul to this TV personality on Shark Tank.
Exactly.
How did that happen?
Well, Mark Burnett invited him on the show back in 2009.
Okay.
And it was a whole new chapter for Daymond. He could use his experience to help other entrepreneurs as an investor and a mentor.
Man, he's done really well on the show.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
I mean, reportedly invested over $8 million in all sorts of businesses. Are there any like standout success stories?
Oh, tons of them. There's Al Bubba Baker with his boneless ribs.
Okay, yeah.
Daymond invested in him, and, that business went from $154,000 in sales to $16 million.
And how long?
3 years.
That's crazy.
And then there's Bomba Socks. Their sales jumped from $450,000 to $12 million.
Wow.
In 9 months. And they donate a pair of socks for every pair they sell, which Daymond really liked.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Giving back is huge for him.
Yeah, definitely. So, I mean, it's not just about the money he puts in, right?
No.
He really mentors these entrepreneurs, shares his knowledge.
Oh, absolutely. He's been there. He knows what it takes. Like, remember Mosiah Bridges?
Yeah, Mose Bose, right?
Yeah, Mose Bose. Daymond mentored him, and he ended up with a licensing deal with the NBA.
That's incredible.
I know, right? It shows how valuable Daymond's guidance is, beyond just the money.
Yeah, totally. So he's clearly passionate about helping new businesses.
Oh, without a doubt.
And it's not just Shark Tank, right? I mean, he does a lot of philanthropy.
Oh, yeah, tons. He's on the board of overseers for, NFTE.
MFTE.
Network for Teaching Entrepreneurship.
Okay.
And they teach business skills to kids in underprivileged areas.
Wow, that's amazing.
And he also donates to charities all the time, it helps out homeless shelters.
That's awesome. So he's really giving back to the community. And there's also this For Us, By Us fund, right? What's that about?
Yes. The For Us, By Us fund, it's specifically to help people who are struggling in Maine.
Oh, interesting, Maine.
It shows how much he cares about, helping others and remembering where he came from.
That's really cool. So, it's inspiring to see that he hasn't forgotten about, people who are struggling.
Not at all.
But I mean, his journey to success, it wasn't always easy, right?
Oh, he definitely had his share of challenges.
What were some of the big setbacks he faced?
Well, one big one was Headerette. He invested $6 million, and it just went under.
Oh, wow.
Partly because he didn't really understand that market. He didn't do enough research. And he also talks about this time he spent like $16,000 on a party that no one came to.
Ouch.
Yeah, a tough lesson, about planning and not getting carried away by excitement.
Yeah, those are tough, but I bet those were huge learning experiences for him.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Sometimes you learn the most from your failures,
Yeah, for sure. So what are some of the like big lessons he's learned, his principles for success?
Okay, so the sources talk about a few key things. First, he says, set realistic goals.
Okay, realistic.
Goals you can actually commit to. And do your research.
Right, due diligence.
Like, really understand what you're getting into. and be passionate about what you're doing.
Yeah, passion is huge.
Huge. Because if you're passionate, you'll understand the market better. And he also says, just keep going.
Never give up.
Don't miss opportunities, and find mentors, people who can guide you.
Good advice.
Yeah, really good advice.
And he's a big believer in resourcefulness, right?
Mm-hmm.
Especially when you're starting with not a lot of money. Didn't he like coin the phrase "the power of broke"?
He did. That's Daymond. It means, sometimes having limitations can make you more creative, more driven.
That's cool.
And of course, networking, like we talked about, and creative marketing, that's essential.
Yeah, those are great takeaways. So I mean, his influence is way bigger than just his own businesses now, right?
Oh, yeah, for sure. Think about all the people he's helped on Shark Tank.
Right.
And he's written 4 best-selling books. Display of Power, The Brand Within, The Power of Broke, and Rise and Grind.
That's amazing.
He's sharing his knowledge with everyone. And then there's his story, his whole rags to riches story.
It's so inspiring.
It really shows that with hard work and determination, anything is possible.
Okay, so for our listeners, what are the top lessons we can learn from Daymond John's life?
Well, the sources really highlight resilience,
Okay, bouncing back.
Exactly. Being able to overcome challenges and the value of hard work, starting early, seizing opportunities. That's huge.
Yeah, hard work is so important.
It is. And having a support system, like his mom, she believed in him. That made a big difference.
That's so true.
And then marketing and networking.
Right.
Like those celebrity endorsements, that really helped FUBU grow. And learning from your mistakes, Daymond had some setbacks, but he learned from them.
It's all about learning.
Exactly. And passion, you got to love what you're doing.
For sure.
And giving back, that's a big one for Daymond.
Yeah.
And also being able to adapt, the business world is always changing.
All right, you got to stay flexible.
And planning, having a good strategy.
Think things through.
And mentorship, finding someone who can guide you. And ultimately it's all about building something that lasts, something bigger than yourself.
Those are some really great points. I mean, Daymond John's story is really a masterclass in entrepreneurship,
It is.
Okay, so as we wrap things up here, let's recap Daymond's journey.
Okay, so he starts out, not a lot of money, some tough times, but he has this passion for hip-hop fashion.
Right.
And he creates FUBU. Lots of hard work, some really smart marketing, and it explodes. It is. And he, faces challenges, learns from them, and now he's dedicated to helping others achieve their dreams, through Shark Tank, his mentoring, everything he does.
Yeah, that's really cool.
It is.
So here's a final thought for you, the listener. Remember that whole for us, by us idea behind FUBU, right?
Yeah, definitely.
It's about really understanding and serving a specific community. So how can you apply that same idea to your own life, your work?
That's a great question.
Even if it has nothing to do with fashion, how can you focus on a specific need, and maybe that'll lead to bigger success and make a real impact on the world? Think about that. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.
Thanks for listening.